We've been playing Jesus for 500 years. Like literally.
Yeah.
Jesus doesn't look anything like Brad Pitt.
You can identify everything but the children of God. I need my people to wake up and understand that this is a propaganda.
The curse of the pharaohs are a poor example of what wait for the plantation.
Beware false prophets who come dressed in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravening wolves.
You black man!
He that stealeth the man.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
We the people, crafty council plots to cut us off. Slave trade, homie, what a steal. Now the stage is set for the world. My people, and it's a damn shame. We like the Walking Dead. I try to wake up the ox, but they get mad instead. They love the man's religion.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom. We made it, y'all. It's the Sabbath, and I hope all of y'all are resting, reflecting. There's a lot that took place this past week, and I'm just thankful to be here, honestly. So I think you guys can hear me. I don't think I'm on mute. Okay. Just a friendly reminder about the channel. You know, Jacob's People. This isn't just a channel where, you know, we're just trying to put out content, or I'm just trying to put out content. You know, we really want to go deep in the Bible, biblical topics, end times prophecy, Hebrew culture, and of course, who the people of the book are. And but we also want to be an online community that's dedicated to learning and growing together in our identity in Messiah. And so, you know, I take that very seriously. Reach out to me, comment, of course, on the videos, and I'll do my best to follow up. Of course, you can email me. Like I said, I've had some great conversations with just some of y'all, and it was great building, you know, good build sessions. I was able to learn. I was challenged, and hopefully, you know, I challenged as well. So, of course, with this video tonight, be sure to like, share. You can always comment, and of course, subscribe. All right. So Shabbat Shalom, Born Bold. Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Peace and blessings. Darnell, Blackshear. Shabbat Shalom. All right. So tonight's topic, are Gentiles the northern tribe? Are the Gentiles the northern tribe? This is a fascinating topic. I'm excited to dive deep. I've been kind of swimming in it this whole week, and honestly, I couldn't wait to get here. Before we hop in, though, here's what I want to do. I want to make you guys aware of a major production that's gonna take place here soon from the brothers over there at Salt of the Earth Production. We are actually going deep on this topic, and we're gonna put out some content that's gonna just completely put this topic to rest, right? And so I'm excited and privileged and honored that I get to work with them, and just be on the lookout for that. And of course, Whatever gaps that aren't filled here tonight specifically for you, feel free to go over to those guys, and because like I said, we're all working together on this topic. Okay, so are Gentiles the northern tribe? I'm curious to know what you guys think about this, honestly. Again, this is major among some of the circles, and without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right in. So where I'm going to start from today, let me share my screen. Let's start with Romans. All right, you guys should be able to see that. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we're going to look at Romans chapter 9. Let me get there. Romans 9. All right. Romans chapter 9. And we're going to be looking at really verses 27 all the way through 33 are going to be the verses that we're going to dive deep in today. Okay. And so with that being said, are Gentiles of the northern tribe? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And again, I'm curious to know what you guys think about this topic as well. So let me just read this. Verses 25. Is that where I want to start at? Yes. Okay, so even us, let's look at verse 24 actually. Even us, whom he hath called, this is Paul, and there's so much here in this whole chapter. I'm gonna assume that because of the relevancy of this topic, most of you are very familiar with this chapter. If not, I encourage you to go back and read. But so we're not here till midnight. We're just going to focus on a few verses. And so we're going to pick up at 24. It says, even us, this is Paul talking, whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles. And that's the question that we're going to be answering tonight, is who are these Gentiles? Gentile is a very popular word, especially within the church. Everybody's a Gentile. Every nation is a Gentile. Every tribe, every tongue, everybody's a Gentile. But is that what Scripture teaches? That's what we're going to be focusing on today. 25. And as he saith also in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. 26. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the Most High. 27 says, Isaiah also crieth concerning Israel, Yasha'Allah, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. For he will finish the work and cut it short in righteousness, because a short work will the Most High make upon the earth. And as Isaiah said before, except the Most High, the Lord of armies, had left us a seed, we had been as Sodoma and been made like unto Gomorrah. Verses 30 through 33. What shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which followed not after righteousness, have attended to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith. But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, hath not attained to the law of righteousness. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. For they stumbled at that stumbling stone. And as it is written, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone and rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Okay, so we're going to start with verses 26, actually 25. Let me stop sharing my screen. And if you notice in those first couple of verses, he references Hosea. And in Hosea, he's focusing on three children. The children's names were very peculiar, very specific to a prophetic assignment, let's just say. Right? Hosea would marry someone by the name of Gomer, who was a prostitute, and Gomer would then have children as instructed by the Most High, and these children again would have very specific assignments. And so we're gonna pick up in Hosea. We're gonna take a look at these prophecies that the Apostle Paul actually quoted. So let's share that. Okay. So let's take a look at Hosea chapter, I believe it's 2. Yeah, Hosea 2 and 23. All right. Hosea 2. I'm trying something new, y'all, because normally I would have the scriptures ready, but I'm gonna try to do it live, everything live this time. So bear with me. All right, Hosea chapter 2. So again, here, if you see in Hosea, what's going on is there's 3 children, and the names of the children are Jezreel, Lo Ruhamah, and Lo Ami. Now, Jezreel's name means I will sow. Lo Ruhamah, her name means I will have mercy. And Lo Ami, that name means I will say, or not my people, not my people. And so let's actually take a look at that. So here's the prophecy that was prophesied. It's in 23 that Paul was just talking about in Romans 9. He says, and I will sow unto her, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. So that's the prophecy that Paul was quoting from in Romans 9:25. This verse 23, is talking about 3 children that are prophesied in Hosea chapter 1. So let's go to Hosea chapter 1. Okay. Hosea 1 reads, it says, the word of the Lord that came unto Hosea, the son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. And so I'm gonna skip down to focus directly on the names of the kids. Okay, so let's go to Hosea 1, verses 1 through 5. So verse 3. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblaim, which conceived and bare him a son. And the Most High said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, and I will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. So there's the first son, Jezreel, and it means I will sow. The second was his daughter, and that's in verses 6 and 7. And it says, and she conceived again and bare a daughter, and the Most High said unto him, call her name Lo Ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. So there is Lo Ruhamah, and her name means no mercy. And then verse 8 and 9. Now, when she had weaned, she being Gomer, Lo Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your God. So 3 children. Now, here's some of the tension that I've heard within this conversation. And so because there are 3 children, we assume, or it's been assumed, that this is representative of 3 different people, right? Israel, Judah, and Gentiles. And so the perspective that I wanted to take a look at was the relationship between the children. I mean, first of all, these were all related, right? And each name had a specific assignment Okay. And so let me take a look here. The first thing that we're going to focus on is Deuteronomy 23 and 2. Deuteronomy 23 and 2. And look at how the Most High relates to his children. Okay. Deuteronomy, I'm sorry here. Give me a second. Deuteronomy 23 and 2. Deuteronomy 23 and 2. You guys see that? Yeah. Deuteronomy 23 and 2 reads, "A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Most High." All right. "Even to his 10th generation shall he not enter into the congregation of the Most High." So the first thing we have to keep in mind when we're looking at these three children is that, one, when it came to children, the Most High didn't deal with bastards. He didn't focus on, these weren't stepchildren. There were three children and one father. Okay. There were no bastard children. There were no stepchildren. All right. The Most High does not deal with bastard children, only his own. Take a look at what Hebrews 12 and 8 says. Hebrews 12 and 8 reads this: "But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are you bastards and not sons?" So again, in this relationship between Loami and I want to make sure I get these names right. Loami, Loruhamah, and Jezreel, these were siblings, no bastards among them. And this, again, that's going to play out later on once we get into the Gentile talk. But this is the perspective that I had on this conversation. All right. So the Most High didn't deal with, he didn't have any stepchildren. That's not what the scriptures teach. All right. So when it came to discipline, he was only disciplining his own. Right. I'm not going out and disciplining other people's kids. That's just not something that I do. I'm only going to discipline my children. Amos 3 and 2, just to add to that, which is a very strong precept within this context. Amos 3 and 2. Most High reads, the Most High says to Amos, "You only," or through Amos, "you, Israel, only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities." So the Most High only dealt with his children. He didn't deal with any other children. He didn't deal with any other nations. Only his people. And so, again, because there are three kids, is he talking about three sets of people? No, because in scripture, "not my people" is always referred to as Ephraim, right? And "have mercy" is referred to Judah. And so that last one, "I will sow," which was Jezreel, who is that talking about? Who is Jezreel talking about? Is it talking specifically about the Gentiles, the people that are outside of Israel? And that's where I like to defer. I don't think it is. And here's why. First off, let's take a look at the scripture. So Hosea 2 and 23, and see what Jezreel's assignment was. Okay, so Hosea 2 and 23. So again, we have these names represented within the scripts, and here's what it says. So "I will sow." So there's right here, there's Jezreel, right? These are the children that the Most High assigned to Hosea. "I will sow," that's Jezreel, "unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy." And again, this is Paul quoting Hosea in Romans 9. All three children that we just looked at are being discussed right here by the Most High. So "I will sow," Jezreel, "I will have mercy," right? That's I should know these by now, but I will have mercy is lo ruhama upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them which were not my people, and that is lo ami, thou art my people, and they shall say thou art my God. All right, so the assignment for not my people, again, that was Ephraim. The assignment for uh have mercy was Judah. And then so look at what the Most High said. He said, and I will sow her unto me in the earth. So the sowing is the relationship that the Most High will do between Judah and Ephraim. It is not another set of people. It has nothing to do with another set of people. So who is her? It's talking about Israel. And the child sow is an act of reconciliation performed by the Most High between Israel and Judah. Okay? I hope that makes sense. We're gonna move on. Okay, so we focused on so far the relationship between these children. The Most High doesn't deal with bastards. We also focused on the fact that each name had a prophetic assignment. They were assigned specifically to do something within the earth, and we just outlined that. And I want to show you guys one more precept. Isaiah 43 and 6. All right. And this is the Most High. He only has children in the north and the south. Look at what it says. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Okay? So when it comes, just that first half of the prophecy that Paul spoke about when he was quoting Hosea, again, just to recap, because we're gonna take it a step deeper. Okay. All the children that Hosea was talking about had a specific assignment. The Most High only deals with his children. He's not dealing with anybody else. He's disciplining only his, right? And no bastards were allowed to even congregate within Israel. Okay. And then lastly, that Isaiah 43 and 6 verse, this shows how the Most High only has children in the north and the south. The north and the south, north being who? Israel, south being who? Judah. All right. And so that's starting the topic, and now we're gonna go a little deeper. We're gonna go a little deeper. All right. So let's look at Romans 9:26, the very next verse. Romans 9 and 26. Let me share my screen. All right. Romans 9 and 26. And we're going to look at the next stage of what Paul is saying here. All right. Romans 9:26 reads this. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the Most High. All right. And so now let's go to Hosea, because again, whatever Paul is saying within these first couple of verses between 25 and 29, he's only quoting Old Testament prophecy directly from the book of Hosea. And so this right here, and it shall come to pass, he's reminding the Romans that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, he's reminding them what Hosea said. All right. And so now we're going to go to Hosea 1, 9 and 10. Hosea 1. Let's just do that. Bring up the whole chapter. All right. Hosea 1, 9 and 10 reads this. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo-Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your God. So Paul just quoted from this. Verse 10, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured, nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it is said unto them, you are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the Most High. So again, we just saw Paul quoting this exact verse, these exact two verses, 9 and 10. Not my people, and where it is said, you are not my people, there you're going to be called my people. Okay, that was from this verse right here. All right. And so what I first want to take a look at, because what caught my attention is the fact that Hosea references the Abrahamic prophecy. You see that right there in verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. And I thought that was interesting. And so, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look. We're going to visit that precept, okay? Because I want to show you guys again. We're taking a look at, are these Gentiles of the northern tribe? And so, you know, really this whole week, what I've learned is how specific this word is. It is so specific, and there's so much that's packed into one verse that if you don't take the time, you know, to study it and to dive deep into it, it could easily be missed. Just like I did. I missed this. And so we're gonna go and visit this precept where Abraham, the Most High, is prophesying to Abraham about his seed and what they shall be in the generations to come. So let's go to Genesis 32 and 12. Genesis 32 and 12. And yeah, go ahead and if you have any questions, I see the questions there. What we'll do is we'll at the end of this take a look at them and build one boat. All right, so Genesis 32 and 12. Actually, let me pull up this whole chapter. I'm starting to get comfortable with this, so it's feeling a little neater, I guess. All right, Genesis 32 and 12 reads this. Make sure I got the right precept. Yep, okay. And thou saidest, I will surely do thee good. This is Most High talking to Abraham, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea. Stay with me, y'all, because I'm going somewhere with this, okay? Because now the Most High is talking about seed. So we went from the sand of the sea, and now he's talking about seed. So we're going to go back a few more chapters and take a look at that. All right. Genesis 28:10 and through 14. Genesis 28. Here we go. Let's read this. And Yaakov. So here the Most High is talking to Yaakov, to Jacob. All right. He's having the dream. And here's what it says. And Yaakov went out from Beersheba and went toward Haran. And he lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took of the stones of that place and put them for his pillows and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up upon the earth, the Eretz, and the top of it reached to Shemayim, to heaven. And Hene, behold, the angels of the Most High ascending and descending on it. Okay. Verse 13, and behold, the Most High stood above it and said, I am the Most High of Abraham, thy father, the Most High of Isaac, Yitzchak, and the land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. Stay with me. And thy seed shall be as the dust. That word in Hebrew is the afar, the dust of the earth. And here's where we're gonna spend some time at, because this gets really good. You guys probably already know this, but I didn't. So I'm excited to bring this out. But it says, "And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad." Where's it going to spread to? It's going to spread to the west and to the east. I think y'all see where I'm going. And to the north and to the south. Now, let me pause right there, because how is seed going to spread to the four corners of the earth? How's that going to happen unless they were taken captive? So right here, as early as Genesis, the Most High is given the plan to Jacob. He's telling him, "Hey, your seed is gonna spread across the four corners of the earth." And I never asked that question, but it makes so much sense when you know what's going to happen, right? The only way they're going to be spread, that seed is going to spread to the four corners of the earth is what took place, the scattering through captivity, because Israel's disobedience to the covenant. Again, that's significant because it was only Israel. Only Israel. No other nation was there. Right? No other nation that this happened to, where this seed was going to spread across four corners of the earth. Moving on, because this is the verse that most people get hung up on. "And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed." So how do we reconcile that? Because it specifically says that all families of the earth will be blessed. But right before that, it talks about the seed. That doesn't make sense. How can all families of the earth be blessed if only Israel, if the Most High was only focused on the nation of Yasha'Allah? Well, I think I have the answer to that question, because I was thinking the same thing. And what I was able to do is go to the Hebrew, because it helps when we go to the Hebrew and take a look at what the Hebrew has to say. Okay. And so let me share my screen. Again, bear with me. I got two monitors, but I think I might need a third. All right, Windows. Yep. Okay. You guys should be able to see that. All right. And the verse that we're focused on is Genesis 28:14. So let me get there. I got my eSword. Genesis, we're going to look at 28:14. So I know where I'm going. Y'all don't know where I'm going, but I know where I'm going. Don't worry about it. All right. So we're going to look at the Brenton Septuagint. All right. The KJV was translated from the Septuagint. And so I would encourage y'all, those of you who are serious about studying, whenever you're, especially in the Old Testament, because the Septuagint stopped in the Old Testament. Well, at least for the Hebrew. And if you're in the Old Testament, take a look and see what's written in the actual Hebrew that's translated into English, because it could really open up some stuff. All right. Okay. I hope y'all can see that. It might be kind of small, but I don't know how to enlarge this yet. So Genesis 28:14. Notice it's the same verse, but it's in the Hebrew. It says, "And thy seed," right here is what we're going to be looking at. Let me Is that better? Maybe that's better. Okay. It says, and thy seed shall be as the sand of the earth. Again, this is Hosea. He's quoting from here, and Paul is quoting from Hosea. So, and thy seed shall be as the sand of the earth, and it shall spread abroad the sea across the four corners of the earth. So we already covered that. It's talking about captivity. Now look at what it says. And in thee and in thy seed shall all thy tribes. Oh, okay. Now we're going somewhere. That makes sense. And all the tribes of the earth shall be blessed. Okay? Don't worry. I got precepts for this as well. Because the Hebrew word there for families is mishpacha. Sometimes y'all hear me when I intro and greet everyone, I say shalom mishpacha. Because that word mishpacha has many different meanings. It can mean family, or it could mean tribe. All right. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Okay. So here is the first example of mishpacha. We actually have it right here. Obviously, it says, and in thee and in thy seed shall all the tribes of the earth be blessed. So here, mishpacha in the Hebrew, let me show you guys. Mishpacha 28 and 14 in the Hebrew, there it is, mishpacha. You see that? Oh, I don't think you guys can see that on. Well, I guess I could pull it up right there, and then pull up the Browns. You see it right there. Mishpacha. In Hebrew is right to left. There's the mem, the shin, right? The pei, the chet, and the ha. Mishpacha. There's your family. All right. And it can have many different meanings. Let me scoot this over a little bit so you can see that, right? It can mean family. It can mean tribe. It can mean people or nation. It takes on various meanings. Okay. And so here's one example where the writers, not Cornell or not Shofar, sorry, I didn't come up with this. I didn't say I didn't translate this into tribes. They did. All right. So all the let me go back to the Septuagint. All right. Well, all the tribes of the earth right there should be blessed. All right. Now, where is it translated families? This is where it gets kind of interesting. All right. So we're gonna go to Amos. Let's go to Amos chapter 3. We kind of went there earlier. And let's look at verse 2 here. All right, Amos, verse 2. So you especially have I known out of all the what? Families. Now, this is, I hope you caught that, because I didn't switch translations. This is still the Septuagint. This isn't the KJV. All right. And so here in the Septuagint for Amos 3:2, you especially have I known out of all the families of the earth, therefore will I take vengeance upon you for all your sins. We looked at that earlier today, Khan. We looked at that earlier today, and we pulled from it how the Most High only disciplines his children, no other nation. What I didn't tell y'all then, I'm telling y'all now, is that you can see the distinction between Israel and other nations. Man, I hope this is making sense. You can begin to see the distinction. He says, he's talking to who? House of Yasha'Allah. You especially have I known out of all the mishpacha families. These would be ethnic Gentiles, not the nation of Israel, right here. If you go back to Genesis 28 and 14, same translation in the Hebrew, where the seed that was scattered, he's saying, and in thee and in thy seed shall all the mishpacha of the earth be blessed. So even this prophecy right here is specific only to the nation of Israel. Only. We just looked at the distinction between Genesis 28:14 and Amos 3:2. Same word translated differently. So even this prophecy as early as Genesis, which means the beginning, Bereshit, the Most High said the seed that's going to be scattered across all the earth, right? North, east, south, and west. That's the four corners. That seed will be blessed because they're your seed that are in these other nations. I hope y'all caught that because I thought that was fascinating. Fascinating. All right. So we're not gonna stay there. But we're gonna move on. You know, questions. Why would Paul even recall the Abrahamic covenant? Why would Hosea even consider that? Right? It was just to reaffirm their status as the people of the book. Okay. And here's something else that I thought was interesting. All right. Let's take a look at Isaiah. Maybe I should just leave the screen share on. All right, Windows. Yeah, let's take a look at this. Okay. Isaiah, we're going to look at Isaiah. I'm precept heavy, y'all, so bear with me. There's no other way though, right? Precept upon precept, line upon line. Here a little, there a little. All right. So again, just in keeping with this sand of the sea, right? Because we equate that to just a multitude of people, just a bunch of people. You agree, okay? And the question that I thought of was, has this prophecy been fulfilled? Has this prophecy been fulfilled? Right? Because we see it here in Genesis. In other words, is the sand of the sea prophecy still ongoing today? And I'm gonna let y'all decide this. But look at what it says. Isaiah 10:22. It says, "For though," and before I read this, the understanding here, the thought is, if this prophecy of the sand of the sea has already been fulfilled before we even finish out Romans. You see what I'm saying? Then there's no need for more, let's say, ethnic Gentiles to come into the fold. There's no need for it. If it hasn't been, then of course, right? There's been just a salvation explosion, right? Everybody gets in. If that's how I undertook that sand of the sea initially. But if it was already fulfilled, then is that the case? All right. So Isaiah 10:22 says, "For though thy people Israel," that next word, "be as the sand of the sea." So before, the Most High said, when it was prophesied to Yaakov, that the sand of the sea prophecy, your seed shall be as the sand of the sea. Isaiah 10:22 says, "For though thy people," he's already saying they are like the sand of the sea. All right. And so this sand of the sea, we're just going to move on for the sake of time here, because I want to honor your time. For the sake of time here, this sand of the sea actually goes into what the next verse in Romans 9. Here we go. Romans 9. So we did a deep dive on, we're answering this question, also of the Gentiles. Are these the northern tribe, right? And we took a deep dive on Hosea. I'm not going to recap that. We did a deep dive on 26, right? And we went back to Hosea. I believe it was 1 and 10 or 1, 9 and 10. And we caught how Hosea was even talking about the sand of the sea. All right. And also just how that seed was scattered. The only way seed can be scattered to the four corners of the earth is through captivity, right? I didn't show you all this, but let me bring this out. Ezekiel 12 and 15. Ezekiel 12 and 15, just on the scattering. Ezekiel 12 and 15, and they shall know that I am the Most High when I shall scatter them among the what? Nations, the Goyim, and disperse them in the countries. All right. So how does seed get scattered? Right here. Right there. All right. And then we went to the sand of the sea, did a deep dive on mishpachah, which I think is powerful in this ongoing conversation. And that sand of the sea is leading us into the next verses in Romans. This is where we're camping out tonight. All right, on the Sabbath. So Romans 9, it gets worse, by the way. So, hang in there. Romans 9, 27 and through 29. Because now he's quoting Isaiah 10 and 20, which is and Isaiah 1 and 9. And what he's really doing is, and I'm not gonna spend much time there. I don't even think I'm gonna go there, because he's doing the same thing in these verses that he did in Isaiah is that Hosea was doing. All right. So in this verse, Romans 27 through 29, Paul is quoting Isaiah 10, 20 through 23 and Isaiah 1 and 9. All right. And what Isaiah is doing is the same thing as Hosea, right? Basically, Isaiah named his child, a remnant shall return, right? Hosea named his child. All right. And the only thing extra, I guess, is that the people in chapter 10 are doing the opposite of what they did before in 9:13, where in 9:13, they didn't listen. Israel didn't listen. They didn't turn from their wicked ways and turn to the Most High, right? And they were judged for it. Whereas in 10, they did the opposite of that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I want to spend the rest of our time on Romans. Let's see, what did I do? How do I get to the next chapter? Romans. I'm going to get better, y'all. I promise. I'm committed. Okay, here we go. Romans 20 or Romans 9, verses 30 through 33. All right. To me, I think this is where the meat of this argument kind of hangs. And what I've heard is valid. It's very valid. I get where people are coming from who are with this line of thinking. It makes sense. Let me bring this out. 30 through 33. It says, "What shall we say then? That the Gentiles, which followed not after righteousness, have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith." 31, "But Israel, which followed after the law of righteousness, hath not attained to the law of righteousness." 32, "Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. For they stumbled at that stumbling stone. As it is written, Behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling stone and rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. And just before we do our deep dive on this, I left so much out on this topic. Like there's this could be weeks of just diving deep on this. And I intentionally cut out a lot because I personally don't want to spend most of my time here. So I just wanted to focus on, the major points. I could have went to Genesis 48, right? Where y'all remember this, where Joseph or Yaakov, he's prophesying over Joseph. He's got his hands crossed and he's prophesying over Ephraim and Manasseh. Look that up. What Joseph said about Ephraim. It's right there that he said Ephraim is going to become a multitude of nations, right? A multitude of nations. Okay. Paul is a snare for a lot of people. If you hung up on the oppressors, you will surely be led by spirit, the spirit of the wood cross. Yeah, Paul is a snare for a lot of people. Because, if you think about it, his actions in the book of Acts don't reflect, and I'm careful when I say this, but they don't really reflect his writings. Right? His actions, he's shaving his head because of the vow. He must go and keep the feast, right? When he returned from his missionary journey to the brothers, to the leaders of the church, he's like, man, how many Gentiles got saved? What did the brothers say? How many Jews got saved? Right. And that whole altercation about him keeping the law, they were like, hey, so that you show them that you yourself keepeth the law. Right. And and to that point, born bold is I would absolutely agree with you. I think people only read his epistles and they don't focus on his actions in the book of Acts. It's very clear. And if I always encourage people, start with the book of Acts before you hop into the epistles. Because if it wasn't for Paul doing missions, none of those epistles would even be written. So how can you live in Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Thessalonians, and all of that if you haven't read about their inception? So start in Acts. That will open up Paul 100%. Okay. So, let's see. Where was I? All right. So, so there's so much, there's so many places I could have started. Also Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy really is a mirror to the entire Bible. The entire Bible, right? I just told y'all to go to Genesis if you want to see what was prophesied about Ephraim. Deuteronomy. Every single prophet, they wrote their sermons from the book of Deuteronomy. That's the best way that I can describe that. And so if you want to learn Isaiah, Jeremiah, right? If you want to learn Hosea, then you have to understand Deuteronomy. You have to. And so I left all that to say is I left a ton out. Okay. And so verses 30 through 33 to me is where everything kind of hangs on in this debate of who these people are, who these Gentiles are. Who are they? Because in 30 and 33, the argument is how could Gentiles who followed not after righteousness attain righteousness, while Israel followed after righteousness, did not attain righteousness. Right? That's the argument in a nutshell. How do you explain that? Right? That righteousness that the Gentiles didn't pursue, is that the law? Is it the law? Did these Gentiles who Paul is talking about right here keep the law? Because it clearly says, right, that they didn't follow after righteousness. So therefore, they must not have been aware of the law at all. And that's just simply not true. Look at Romans chapter 2. Romans chapter 2. Look at what Paul said about Gentiles who have not followed after righteousness. He says, what can we say then? Is there, let me make sure this is the right verse. Romans 2, 14 and 15. I don't think this is, oh no, I guess I gotta hit that. Okay, there we go. I'm learning, y'all. Bear with me. All right. Romans 2, 14 and 15. Again, the question is, were these Gentiles that Paul is speaking of in Romans 9, 30 and 33 unaware of the law? But let's let scripture answer that. Verse 14, for when the Gentiles which have not the law, Gentiles have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law. Again, what law is Paul talking about? These who, Gentiles, having not the law, are a law unto themselves. So it's not enough to simply say that those Gentiles in 9, 30, and 33 who followed not after righteousness, to equate that with the law, because Paul right here in chapter 2 is saying that these same Gentiles are a law to themselves. Gentiles all over, outside of Israel would not be a law unto themselves. How? Because of verse 15. Those the heathens, the nations outside of Israel, did not know the law at all. Paul is saying in verse 15, they show the works of the law written in their hearts. How did it get in there? How did the law get written into their hearts? Their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts, the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. So it's not enough to simply say that the Gentiles in verse chapter 9, verse 30, that to equate that righteousness with the law. Right? That's not enough, because Paul clearly right here is saying that they had it in them, Gentiles. Not only did they have it in them, but it was in their conscience, it was in their heart, and it was in their thoughts. So who are these Gentiles? Who, oh, what's going on here? There we go. All right, who are these Gentiles? Right? Who aren't following not after righteousness. Because we can't equate that with the law. Here's the second thing that I'll say on the topic, and we're almost done. I got one more point, and then we're almost done. Here's the second thing: the variation of the word righteousness. Okay, I'm no Greek scholar. I know a little Hebrew, not a lot. I can read it. Do I know what every word means? No. Just like most people try to impress people because they can read it, but they have no idea what they're saying. My Hebrew vocabulary is limited. I barely know 100 words, but when it comes to Greek, I know absolutely nothing. All right, but there's people who are a lot smarter than I am. They know, and the word righteousness has some variation to it. So what I studied, and I don't have it ready at hand, but what I studied is that righteousness in the only means law in the context of government, which is not going on right here. So it cannot mean law. It simply cannot mean law because Paul isn't talking about government. We just read basically the meat of the chapter, and he's pulling from Hosea, he's pulling from Isaiah, he's pulling from Abraham, talking about salvation of these Gentiles being called. So it can't be law as it pertains to the Gentiles. I'll prove it. Let's go to verse 3. So, who is Paul talking about here? All right, he's talking about Israel. He says, "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved." So he's talking about Israel, keepers of the law. All right. And if we're saying that the law means righteousness, then let's keep reading. "For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge." Watch this. "For they," Israel, "being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness." Isn't that what he was saying about the Gentiles just now? The Gentiles didn't follow righteousness. And now he's saying that Israel was ignorant of the Most High's righteousness. So there's different meanings for this word. And again, I'm not a Greek scholar, but there is variation. And I just wanted to show you that. And this word ignorant in the Greek, I did look that up. It actually means not to know. All right. And my last point, just in thinking about these last couple of verses. All right. Because think about this for a second. You have Gentiles who followed not after righteousness. They've attained it. And then you got Israelites who followed after righteousness, and they did not attain it. And I asked myself the question, I said, what does that sound like? What story in the New Testament sounds like someone not following after something and attaining it, and someone following after something and not attaining it? Hang that for a second. We're gonna come back to that. Let's go to Romans. You probably already know the answer to it, but let's go to Romans 10 and 19. Paul here is quoting from Deuteronomy. Remember what I said earlier about the if you want to understand scripture, right? It starts in Deuteronomy, like understanding why these prophets were screaming at Israel. All right. So 19, he says, but I say, did not Israel know? First Moses saith, I will provoke you to jealousy. Right? I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, by a foolish nation I will anger you. Okay? I'm going somewhere with this. Keep in mind that story, because if somebody to me had attained, had followed after something and attained, or didn't follow after something and attained it, and I was following after that thing and I didn't attain it, I would be upset about that. I would be jealous about that. And this is exactly what Paul is saying, quoting Deuteronomy 32 and 21. I won't pull it up. It's in there. Deuteronomy 32 and 21. It's in there. And this is exactly, he says, I will provoke you to jealousy. Why is the Most High provoking them to jealousy? Why is, I agree that these Gentiles didn't have anything to be jealous over as it pertains to Judah. I totally agree with that, right? All in the same, get that. But I don't think that's what's going on here. I think these Gentiles are Israelites, because the Most High is saying, I'm gonna provoke you. Let's read all of that. He says, I'm gonna provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people. Who is no people? We just read that in Hosea. Not a people, right? Lo ami, I believe. Let me fact check that. Yeah, lo ami, not my people. He says that Hosea talked about was pertaining to Israel, the northern tribe. And he says, I'm gonna provoke you to jealousy by lo ami, by a foolish nation I will anger you. All right. So doesn't this sound a little bit like this story right here? Believe this is it. Yeah. Listen to this. And he said, a certain man had two sons. This is the Messiah talking. Had how many sons? Just two. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. What does that sound like? Give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. All right. And not many days. So younger son, he didn't work for it as longer. He didn't work for it as long as the older son did. And he's asking. In other words, he didn't pursue it, yet he attained it. So he says, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me, and he divided unto them his living. 13. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, took his journey into a far country. You can't make this stuff up. Why is the son going to a far country? And there wasted his substance with the riotous lip. Who does that sound like? Verse 13. Not many days after, the younger son gathered all together. Oh, I already read that. I'm sorry. And 14. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. Verse 15. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country. Now, this is a son, a seed, being a citizen in a different country. And he sent him into his fields to feed swine. We all know what we're not supposed to be eating, that filth, right? Verse 16. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the wine did eat, and no man gave unto him. Right? This is like the lowest of living that this son who was a Gentile living in this far country and became a citizen of this far country, he would basically give up his rights to being an Israelite. 17. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? 18. I will rise and go to my father and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned. I love what it says. I will rise. In other words, he took ownership and he acted. He wasn't waiting for it. He acted. Right? Israel. 18. I will arise and go to my father and say unto him, Father, I have sinned against Shemayim and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. Verse 20. And he arose, came to his father, but when he was yet a great way off, look at this, his father saw him. This is the good news. This is the gospel. His father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, did I read that? No. And the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. 22. But the father said to his servants, bring forth the best robe. How would that make you feel? Bring forth the best robe, put it on him, put a ring on his hand, shoes. This brother ain't work for nothing. He ain't work for anything. Romans 9:30 and 33, Gentiles didn't pursue it and attained it. Not only attained it, they got the best, the best. Put it on him, put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. 23. And bring hither the fatted calf. I don't have enough time to go into all of this, but this is a feast. It says, kill it and let us eat and be merry. You don't just kill a calf for nothing. It's a big deal. 24. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost he was lost. Now he's found. And they began to be married. How would that make you feel if you saw that? Romans 10, wouldn't you be a little jealous? Verse 25. Oh, it gets worse. Now his elder son, the one who had pursued it and didn't attain it, he did everything right, did everything that he was supposed to do, but he did not attain it. So watch this. So his elder son was in the field, and as he came, let me read this again. And as he came, where was I? Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music dancing. 26. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. My goodness. You would have thought he at least had the invite. The servant had to tell him. Right? 27. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry. Most High said, I'm going to provoke you to anger by a foolish nation. And he wouldn't even go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, lo, these many years I do serve. I've served you for many years. Keep this in mind, because we're going to go back and reread verses 30 and 33. He says, I've served you for many years. You didn't do any of this for me. Look at what he says. I even followed your law. Neither transgress I at any time thy commandment. Didn't we just read that in Romans? Look at what he says. And yet thou never gavest me a kid that I may make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured the living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. Are you serious? Are you kidding me? I've been keeping your commandments, and you didn't even do this for me? You ain't do none of this for me. Verse 31, and he said unto him, son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is yours. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and was found. Notice how it didn't give us what took place afterwards. It just left us with this son who was angry and jealous, right? Isn't that what we just read? We just read that, right? Romans. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. View the whole chapter. We just read that, right? Romans 10:19. I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you, right? Now, what's the significance of that? Because when we read here, let me put all this together, and then we're gonna connect, and then we'll conclude. So when we say what shall we say then, that the Gentiles which follow not after righteousness, do you see it now? They didn't follow after righteousness, but they attained it. Of course, these aren't Israel, or of course these aren't nations outside of Israel. This is Israel, just like the prodigal son. They were two brothers, Israel and Judah, two brothers. It's right there. It's right there. It takes the prodigal son to a whole nother level when you look at it in that light. And so let's do some just some reflection before we conclude. Let me end with where we started. Are Gentiles the northern tribe? Are they the northern tribe? We took a look at the role of prophecy that was given for each child. Lo, me, not my people. Jezreel. I'm gonna memorize these one day. Jezreel, God sows, the Most High sows, and Lo Ruhamah, no mercy. And people who equate those three children being reflective of Israel, Judah, and Gentiles, I can't see that, because Jezreel had a specific prophetic assignment, and her assignment, or his assignment, I keep saying her, his assignment, Jezreel's assignment was specifically of the, I won't say that, but Jezreel's role was the father reconciling Judah and Israel. So that has nothing to do with Gentiles outside of Israelites. Has nothing to do with that. They can't do that. It's him. What's the Most High sowing? Himself. He's sowing reconciliation. He's sowing himself. That's why he died. Right? Doesn't it say something to along that line? His body would become a seed. He's sowing himself so that way those two can reconcile. Then we looked at the seed of Abraham becoming the sand of the sea, which is powerful. Because that seed, the Most High gave us the plan right there in Genesis. That seed would become scattered across the four corners of the earth. The four corners of the earth. And not only that, that word for all families of the earth shall be blessed was mishpacha, and it could mean different things in different situations. And then when you precept that with Amos 3:2, you see it. Tribes, Genesis, families, Amos 3:2. And then lastly, what we took a look at was verses 30 and 33 in Romans 9. And when we say that there was no way possible for those Gentiles to have kept the law because we're equating that to that word righteousness, that's just wrong. Because Romans 2 smashes that. It specifically says that the Gentiles, even if they didn't have it, were a law to themselves. So that smashes that. That smashes that. All right, let me pull this up because I'm curious. Born Bold, can you elaborate on that? So no Middle East. What do you mean by that? I think it has something to do with I think it has something to do with the teaching of the children, but I want to make sure I fully understand the question. Brother Hal, shalom, brother. Peace and blessings. I'm so thankful for you guys. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Like I said, I'm so thankful that I get to connect with y'all. I mean, just what an honor. What an honor. So all praises to the Most High. Oh, she said it was a joke. let me just share. So just something about me. Like I am extremely literal, too literal. Too literal by default, and I need to do better. So all right, well, if there's, let me just wait a few more minutes to see if there's any more questions. Again, shout out to Salt of the Earth Productions. Look out for the production that's currently being created on this very topic, right? And like I said, I'm excited and honored that I get to connect with those guys and learn from them and be challenged also. So if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and conclude. Again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Enjoy your Sabbath. Get some rest, and we will connect soon. Peace and blessings.
Shalom, shalom, and blessings to all the brothers and sisters in the chat. I want to thank y'all for tuning in to that. That was a presentation by the brother Cornell, brother Shofar, dealing with the Gentiles and who the Gentiles are. And so that was definitely a powerful presentation. I want to thank you, brothers and sisters, for that, for chiming in. Let's get a brother a hand for that presentation. Get a brother applause for that presentation. Y'all don't hate on my sound effects, but that's something I'm gonna be working on, getting that tight. But real quick, while we here, I want to close out with an excerpt dealing with the Apostle Paul. And let me do this real quick. Hold on. I want to post a link to that video in the chat. That was actually a playback video. And so I'm going to post the link to the video in the chat. And also, you brothers and sisters who go over to his channel to review the video, feel free to subscribe to the channel as well. Show the brothers some love on that end. Brother Cornell, brother Shofar. I want to read an excerpt dealing with the Apostle Paul. A lot of people contend as to whether or not the Apostle Paul kept the law. And this is an excerpt from a book. I don't have it on a PDF. I'm going to try to work on getting it in the PDF, but this is a book called The Lost Acts of the Holy Apostles. And this is an excerpt from the Apostle Paul. It's called The History of the Contending of St. Paul. And it reads, St. Paul was the tongue of the sweet-smelling ointment, which scented the assembly by the doctrine of his mouth. St. Paul, whose course was beautiful, was the apostle of the Gentiles, who cried unto them to repent. St. Paul was the associate of our Adonai Yehoshua HaMashiach in his fetters and in his punishments. He was always enduring tribulation in his journeyings on land and on sea, and he bore the marks of his suffering in his body. St. Paul sprinkled wisdom from the fountain of his doctrines, which watered those who believed, and he made the foolish wise with the knowledge of his understanding. St. Paulos was filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Holy Spirit, and he sanctified the assembly with the seal of the laying on of his hands, and he made it to increase by the graciousness of his sweetness. St. Paul was the teacher of the law and the ordinances which strengthened the believers by the word or voice of his sacred law, and he made them to rejoice in the report thereof. So in this excerpt is basically letting you know how Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles and how he was basically an associate with Yehoshua HaMashiach, our Lord, our Adonai, in his punishments and in his sufferings. And we can prove that when we read through the letters of Paul, some of the things that he endured and had to suffer on behalf of the faith. But then it says that St. Paul was full of the Holy Spirit. But then it says that St. Paul was the teacher of the law and the ordinances which strengthened the believers by the word or voice of his sacred Torah. And he made them to rejoice in the report thereof. So this is letting you know that he was sent to a certain people. He was sent to the Gentiles. And when they heard the report, they rejoiced in that report because he taught them the law. And that confirms what Brother Cornell was saying, how they obtained righteousness, but they didn't seek after it. And those who were seeking after it didn't obtain it. And so this is sort of a confirmation of that, you know, just letting you know that the Apostle Paul was the teacher of the law. For those who say that, Paul taught against the law. But then when we read Peter, Peter tells us that Paul's writings are hard to be understood, so that lets us know that we should be careful in how we deal with the writings of Paul. But that was Brother Cornell, Brother Shofar with the presentation, Are the Gentiles the Northern Kingdom? All right, hope that everybody was edified by that. On that note, I'm going to say shalom and blessings. Hope everybody have a blessed evening. All right, real soon here. I think Brother Banya may be coming live with a quick hitter. All right, so be on the lookout for that. And till then, brothers and sisters, I'm going to say shalom.